All right, this is going to be my experience slash review here of the Wahoo Kickr Bike V2 down here in my pain cave. I've logged around 700 or 850 miles on this bike here down here in the pain cave over the past couple of weeks of owning this. So this isn't going to be like a long-term video review here of the bike. I've only owned it for a couple of weeks now, and I would like to share with you my experience I've had here on the Kickr Bike V2. Now, as a full disclaimer here, as the bike sits right now and since I've owned it, it is not currently and hasn't been in its stock form. I've gone out and replaced the saddle, I've replaced the stem, I've replaced the bars, and finally I've replaced the handlebar tape. So starting off with the parts that I swapped out here with the cockpit, we've got a set of 44 centimeter wide Bontrager Elite handlebars. I'm sorry, I do not know the degree of flare these bars currently have on them. We are using Physique gel padded bar tape. For the stem itself, we are using an 80 millimeter Bontrager stem. Let's move back and check out the saddle. And finally at the back, we are using a Trek Verse 145 millimeter rail saddle here. Beautiful, very, very comfortable saddle. Now, other than those parts, the bike itself is completely stock. I forgot to mention I'm also using Wahoo Speedplay comp pedals. Amazing, amazing pedals, I may add. Now, before I get into my riding experience and just the overall experience I've had using the Wahoo Kickr Bike V2, let me go through some of the specs because that may be important to some of you online who don't really like to read as myself. So this bike has a claimed power accuracy rating of plus or minus 1%. Now, for an indoor trainer bike, that is extremely accurate compared to its competition. In terms of what this bike will track for you, either on the app or whatever cycling app you may be using, it will track your speed, distance, power, and cadence, what you're putting down into the pedals there. This has a maximum power output of 2,500 watts worth of resistance. So you can be a much larger, heavier, stronger rider, and you really shouldn't max that out. I mean, if you're pushing out 2,500 watts into your pedals, please let me know down in the comment section below.
That's a crap ton of power.
This will have a maximum gradient simulation of plus 20% incline or negative 15% decline when you're going downhill. This has connectivity such as Bluetooth, Direct Connect, Wi-Fi, ANT, and ANT Plus. So that is a few of the specs here on the Wahoo Kickr Bike V2. Next, I want to show you all just the sheer amount of adjustability this bike has so you can really fine-tune and get your fit down to a T. Okay, so moving on to the cockpit over here. Obviously, as you may know if you're a cyclist, if you're to loosen off your front stem bolts, you can adjust the angle of your bars. That's given. Now, in terms of the Wahoo Kickr Bike V2 and its adjustments, you can really dial in your fit here. If I were to loosen off this bolt right over here, that will bring the height of my handlebars either up or down. Right now, I've currently got my handlebars slammed. That's just how I like to ride, a little more aggressive position. So that's what that bolt right there does. Let me move the camera and move on to this over here. So the next adjustment point right over here, if I were to loosen this off, this will then allow you to move your handlebars further in or further outwards. They are also indicated by these numbers right here. So you simply loosen that off. If you're a longer reach, if you're a taller rider, you can move your bars forward or back. That's what that adjustment point right over there does. Our next adjustment point we have over here will be for the saddle. If I were to loosen this off, it will bring my saddle either in more or if I want to go out more. So this adjustment point right here is for the saddle to either move it inwards or to move the saddle outwards. And this right here, lastly for the saddle, if you were to loosen this off right here, that simply brings your saddle up or down. Very much so as your typical road bike or any other bike which has that adjustment point right over there. And finally, last but not least, in terms of adjustments for the bike itself, if I were to loosen this off that way, pull that out, that will adjust the frame's standover height. So right now, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's labeled A. So the standover height for the actual bike's frame itself is all the way down. I believe you got multiple adjustment points. So if you're a taller rider, you would simply undo this bolt here, pull that choke out, and it will bring your standover height of your frame either up or down. Right now, because I'm not a very tall rider, I've got it all the way down in terms of the standover height. So you just undo that, pop that up. It will take your standover height of the frame itself either up or down. And last but certainly not least here, in terms of the bike's adjustments, we have 5 different crank lengths to choose from, ranging from 165 millimeter, 167.5 millimeter, 170 millimeter is what I ride, 172.5, and finally 175 millimeter crank arm lengths to choose from. So as you can see, the Kickr Bike V2 has many different points of adjustment, so you really can dial it into your size, to your fit, and to your riding style that fits your needs. Now, having all that stuff out of the way, how does this bike feel? How does this bike ride? From my personal experience, using it for the past couple of weeks or so, logging quite a few miles on it, the bike itself, I've never ever had a single misshift when switching gears, either being under pressure or not. I've never ever slipped any gears. I've never had a single dropout via Bluetooth. I should also mention, I had this bike paired with my older Samsung Galaxy phone via Bluetooth. Haven't had any issues there. I also have the bike paired via Bluetooth on my Windows 11 gaming PC. Not a single dropout via Bluetooth, either from my Android cell phone or from my Windows computer. 0 dropouts in terms of Bluetooth. When riding the bike itself, I've never, not a single time, missed a single gear shift. The shifters are very nice. They feel nice while on the hand. It feels very natural. The gears are extremely quick to react. Very smooth. My outdoor bike, primarily my outdoor road bike, which I put a lot of miles on, uses a mechanical Shimano 105 group set, shifters, brakes, a whole 9 yards. Now going from a mechanical road bike group set here on something so much sophisticated like the Kickr Bike V2, having these very nice, fancy, very customizable gear shifting, I've primarily used the Shimano Di2 internal gear shifting. Absolute razor precision, razor sharp precision gear shifting. Either the small rings in the back or the big rings up front, the big chain rings. Absolutely quickly to react. You hit the gear shifter right away, shifts gears from either the front chainring or the rear chainring. So in terms of shifting, it's bang on, it's spot on, it's very quick to react. When on the bike, the actual feel of the bike itself, it's a very sturdy bike frame. It's not crazy sturdy when you're moving, when you're putting down a lot of watts. The bike, it can naturally move left to right, which I read online is perfectly natural. That's to mimic somewhat of an actual road ride. You have to have a little left and right movement. The actual ride feel itself feels very much so as my drop bar outdoor road bike, you know. But the shifting itself is just so much faster, so much precision in terms of the shifting itself on the Kickr Bike V2. It's futuristic compared to my mechanical groups that I use outside. So the actual ride feel is extremely smooth, Very, very responsive. The one thing which I probably haven't gotten used to yet, I probably need to spend some more time with the bike, is when I'm putting down some more watts out of the saddle. So when I'm out of the saddle pedaling on the bike, that to me, I don't know if because I'm not entirely used to it yet, that to me feels very, very unnatural. Let's say compared to my outdoor road bike when I'm out of the saddle pedaling, putting in the watts. Here on the Kickr Bike V2, from my experience, when I'm out of the saddle and putting down the wattage, standing up out of the saddle, it really doesn't feel very natural to me. Now, that can probably all be changed if I were to get a dedicated rocker plate, which intentionally will move left and right, back and forth, with the bike sat on top of it. But I really don't think I have any need for a rocker plate. I think I just need some more time to get used to the bike while spending more time out of the saddle. That's one thing to me that doesn't feel very natural about the bike, is riding out of the saddle, putting down the watts. Another excellent thing about the Kickr Bike V2 I should mention is the gradient simulator. So back here, I'm not sure if I showed it on camera or not, but there's kind of a sway arm back here, which when you're cycling and going uphill, I'll put it on screen right now once again. So when you're going uphill, the immersion factor that this Kickr Bike V2 will add to your cycling experience, it makes it feel very, very realistic. Now, when you're going down a decline, like when you're going downhill, this will simulate up to -15%. Again, feels very, very realistic when you're bombing down a hill on your road bike on a nice smooth tarmac. This feels no different really. In fact, with my current setup with the 50-34 up front, 11-28 in the back, when I'm going down very steep inclines in whichever app I'm using, when it goes downhill, I actually find myself spinning out quite a bit. So the flywheel itself carries a lot of inertia when you're going downhill. And obviously when you're going up, there's plenty of resistance on the flywheel and the actual bike itself going up and down. Before I purchased the Kickr Bike V2, I was actually strongly considering on purchasing the Zwift Ride with the Kickr Core bundle. So that's the Zwift Ride frame with the Wahoo Kickr Core trainer, which gets mounted onto the back of it. But then basically you're the only app that you can use that with, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below, and I do apologize if I'm wrong here. But from my understanding, the Zwift Ride with the Kickr Core can currently only be used using the Zwift app, of course, which, yes, I know, that is the most popular app probably in the world right now, the most active users, the best user reviews. But that app can get a little bit pricey, so I wanted something where I wouldn't be connected or tied into with one single app. Therefore, I obviously splurge and spend the extra money here on the Kickr Bike V2. So that has been my experience here using the Wahoo Kickr Bike V2 downstairs here in my pain cave. Even though it's not wintertime yet, I definitely still have logged quite a bit of miles here on the bike because it's been raining like crazy like the past week here where I live. So that gave me a really good opportunity to really put this bike through its paces. What else do I have to say about it? I mean, the ride feel itself, the ride quality feels amazing. The bike is very, very sturdy. No creaking, no sounds that there shouldn't be there. The sway arm that brings the bike up and down has worked flawlessly. So I think I might wrap up the video here. The Kickr Bike V2 is getting my absolute highest recommendation. I mean, I really can't think of a single thing that I didn't like about this bike. Pedaling out of the saddle, you know, that's something I think I just need to get used to. With the exception of that, I mean, with the amount of adjustability you have here on the bike, if you have multiple different riders in your household, different sizes, different heights, this bike will absolutely accommodate for those different riders, for yourself. Everything is labeled nicely here with numbers. For example, I'm at 5.5 reach up front, 4.5 on the back on the saddle. Having a crank arm selection right here, very, very nice to have. That gradient simulation while you're cycling in game is a real game changer. It just adds that immersion factor to when you're riding the bike. So yeah, if I missed anything, I apologize. If you have any questions regarding the Kickr Bike V2, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you want to see me sweat my behind off here on the bike, down here in the pain cave, I will leave links to those live streams in a pinned comment down below. Kickr Bike V2, Wahoo Kickr Bike V2, getting my absolute highest of highest regards. For me, it's been transformative so far. I'm going to log a hell of a lot more miles than what I've already done here on the bike. For me, it's everything I ever could have wanted in an indoor bike. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments below. And I think on that note, we'll end it there.